I said on PKN that despite all of these videos about people dying while hiking, mountaineering, canyoning, it makes me want to go do it because the reasons they're getting into trouble are always stupidity or like arrogance. Like there was one guy who liked to hike ultralight and he just went off to a place where he couldn't survive and died basically because he was arrogant. There was a couple that thought they were taking a shortcut in a blizzard and just drove off into a nature preserve because they couldn't tell they were on gravel instead of pavement because of the snow. Went 50 miles into the wilderness and got the truck stuck. Ended up losing all of their toes and barely getting out alive by the time they were done. Because
they both lost all their toes?
They both lost all their toes, husband and wife. They had the baby in like a sleeping bag, dragging it through the snow. And instead of turning around and going the way they had come in, which was 50 miles, they looked at the map and they were like, oh, we could just cut across the wilderness area and it's about 20. But that's mountains and rivers and shit. Yeah. And they're wearing like sweats because they didn't expect to go mountaineering that day. So like the woman, like she gives out a gas like 10 miles in. He has to put her in a cave, go back to the truck, and then go 50 miles to help. He lost all his toes.
Did the baby die?
The baby was fine. It was breastfeeding and staying in like, I don't know, 3 layers of shit. You know, it was going to live. In a situation like that, the baby will live as long as the mom will. But like they both lost all their toes. And in the interviews with them, the wife's like, oh, I didn't mind losing all my toes as long as little Jesse lived. And I was thinking like, I'd be so mad at that man who like had military service. And the whole trip was to go to like a second cousin's funeral or some shit.
Who
not
cares?
A necessary. Yeah. There was every single one of those stories starts that way. It's like, they shouldn't be there to begin with. There were these 3 old men who took some 15-year-old Boy Scouts into the Grand Canyon and got lost. And as each of the old men fails, like physically, they get left behind until it's just the boys climbing down a 200-foot sheer rock face to get to the Colorado River. One of the 3 boys dies of dehydration 100 yards from the river.
Oh,
Jesus
dehydration
Christ.
100 yards from the river?
They couldn't they couldn't hook him up? Like
he collapsed. They ran the rest of the distance, came back with water, and they got rescue services to him as soon because they ran into like kayakers when they got to the river. But they helicoptered in. It didn't matter. They were like, "Sorry, your friend's dead." And all the old men lived, but they're all just fucked. Like they went into the desert, and on day 1 of a day 3 thing, 75% of their water is gone. It's such easy math to know you got to turn around.
Yeah. Like it's more than that's a horrible amount. How do you not notice that? Like, hey, does everybody have their water? I only got a couple sips left. All right, forge ahead, boys. We're only 2,500 miles from the river.
They were so far away from the river, and apparently it was some like unusual heat wave there. So it was 112 degrees in the canyon.
Oof.
All
I
of
don't
the
know how the
stories
old
are
men
like
didn't
that.
die then.
But Woody, didn't you go on a pretty considerable hike? Through a trail or something with a friend?
Yeah, the John Muir Trail. I did it with a couple friends.
How far is that?
We went, I think, 80 miles.
That's a serious hike. How many days?
7.
Okay.
No, we planned 7. I think we did it in 6 or 5.
Okay. Yeah. These people will end up, obviously they're doing death marches. It's like, let's get out of here. We're going to die. And they'll be doing 20 miles a day. And it's like, oh my God. And their feet are rotting off. Like they have not just blisters, but sometimes jungle fungus and like all sorts of nasty stuff going on. That's the part with me. I'm kind of a bitch about my feet. Once I get a blister or something, or like, I don't know if you've ever had like shoes that are rubbing the back.
Yeah, I had.
Center, like
one of the
Achilles
guys
tendon.
I was with was a trooper. Like he had blisters on his feet that were as bad as any blisters you've seen in real life. They covered the entire back edge, like not just the back of his heel, but the back of his heel wrapping around. The bottom of his heel was blistered. And at the end of like at camp, he would just peel off more skin than I knew you had to spare. He never complained once.
What
he didn't
a man.
even mention that his feet
was
hurt.
he ex-military or something? Like who is this man? Is he like an accountant or something? What's his background?
He was PKA Dan's friend from childhood. Just nice guy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't have that in me. Like growing up, we would work hard, but if I ever got blisters, I was like, well, I'm done. That's why I'm always so serious about. I always wear gloves with anything I do. That's like, if I'm gonna do mechanic work or go into a house or anything, I'd always put leather gloves on. And Dad would even give me a hard time, like, get your gloves on, let's go. And then some jobs, it's like you're gonna get sucked in wearing those fucking gloves. This is not a glove job. Anything with a spinning thing, it's like, you know, I don't do that. But I was wearing my gloves the other day, operating a side grinder. My finger got sucked in, and it fucked the glove up, not me. And it was like, oh, thank God. Like the glove is all sanded down. I can see my finger through it, but I'm fine.
Yeah. Angle grinder is one where I'm not sure. You know, would you maybe just glanced off it and not been hurt, but you got pulled in a little more? Or like you said, like I've also had it where like the last inch of my glove got pulled into a thing, but not my finger. You know, maybe it saved me.
Yeah.
But
I don't have the safety backing thing on the grinder. You know, it's just the wheel spinning.
I can't often reach what I'm trying to reach. Yeah.
So I think it's less likely to pull you in because there's nothing to like pinch you against. You know, you can't get pinched against that guard.
I watch videos somewhat like the ones you talked about, but they're aviation based. And it's always a cascade of mistakes. It's never like one thing went wrong and boom, now the guy's falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
It's like this thing happened and then he reacted improperly to that. And then he reacted improperly to that. And by his fourth mistake, he had no more chances to correct it.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
It's always that. There's one where they're on like a pleasure cruise and a fairly large sail / it's got a motor, but it's a big sailboat. And it goes down in the night because they don't have charts for the place that they're in. They don't have the proper charts. They have charts for where they're going, but they don't have charts for the emergency stop that they need to make because they let the noob go up top and she got flung in the waves and her back hit the railing and she's fucked up. So as the boat's going down, the girl with the back injury holds onto the rigging and the mast or whatever as it's going down, gets tangled in it and gets gruesome cuts on her legs from the cabling. Then the good emergency bag gets lost to the sea. The thing that had like the radio, the transponder, the food, the water, the desalination, the sunscreen.
This sounds really helpful.
It's literally like God mode. Like, oh, we're good. They'll be right here. Hey, bring us some champagne because we're pretty happy. Like,
you know,
but
we've got so much peanut butter in this thing. You guys got jelly and bread?
Yeah, it was that, but they lose that, and now they're in a shitty dinghy, and they're being buffeted by waves. They're still in a storm, so they go under. They flip it upside down, and they go under. And the girl with the cuts, she's afraid. She's claustrophobic. She's not an ocean girl. They're interviewing the survivors, and there's like a bad bitch in the group. Like she's got her hair up in a very like, I don't know, athletic kind of way, and she can tell she's pretty, but like, I don't know. She's had a lot of sun in her life, you can tell. And she's just like, she was not a seaworthy woman or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Like, she looked down on the other woman.
She's like, I don't even know what she was doing up there to get flung into the railing. She should have been below deck as she was told. Like every step of the way, she's like talking about how one of the men got themselves killed. And she's like, we did the best we could. We told him not to drink the water. He drank the water. Then he saw a boat and then he started swimming. He swam until we didn't see him anymore. Then we heard him scream as the sharks ate him because the sharks are everywhere beneath the boat because of this woman's bleeding leg. At one point, the guy complained he's like, stop kicking my legs. And she's like, all right, I'm just going to look down and find his fucking legs so I don't bump them anymore. So she sticks her head underneath and she's like, it's a swarm of sharks.
Sharks just bumping their legs.
She's like, there are no less than 30 sharks beneath us.
And they still had their legs in the water?
Only 2 of them ended up living. The rest of them succumbed to their injuries or swam away. The woman and one guy ended up living.
Jesus Christ. That sounded like a really good one.
Being
out at sea would be the scariest place to be stranded. There's something very horrifying about the ocean to me. Like even Woody being like, oh, I just sometimes would swim until as far as I could. I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Because I'm conquest focused.
I think you and I are in particular. So because we've been in the ocean water so much less than Woody. Maybe 1% of what he has would be generous.
Not even 1%.
There's no way it's 1%. There's no way. There's no way it's 1% as much like time in the ocean.
0.25%.
So to me, it's a very scary place, full of scary lassophobia, like shit. You know, when I see that endless blue deep below you, and when I see like apex fucking predators that are in their element, and my dumbass cannot swim. Like I mean, I can stay afloat, but I ain't going nowhere. Okay, I'm not going
You're not
anywhere.
like winning any contests, and you're certainly not winning a contest against a animal that lives there.
Do you know why you can't drink salt water? Do you guys know why?
I think it takes more to process the salt out of your kidneys than you get from the water, right?
You're exactly right. I didn't know that until I was like older than you. You learned it faster than me. But yeah, I was like, I know you can't drink salt water, but it's water and it's the only water available. Why isn't it better than nothing? And it's because like when you have too much salt, you need to drink water. The concentration of salt in this water is greater than the amount of water you get from it. So
it's like that old Simpsons where like they get stranded and Homer misremembers the line. He's like, yeah, remember the line? Water, water everywhere. Let's all have a drink. And no, Homer, no, stop.
Human kidneys can only
Flanders is like the pro, right? He's like, oh, don't worry, we've got our survival kit there with rations that'll feed us.
We got a survival diddly diddly.
Homer's eating like a week's worth of everyone's food, and now he's got the fucking Swiss Army knife with every blade popped out on a dinghy, and he drops it and it's bouncing with every pokey thing imaginable, and then the gag is it lands and the magnifying glass melts a hole in the boat.
Man, old Simpsons, so funny. But
do you like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I've never seen that.
What?
Never seen. That's the one where it's like half cartoons.
It's too long.
Yeah. I bring it up because I just saw.
I don't like that style. I remember even as a kid when that like was big.
There's no one else who doesn't like this. It is unique in the way that it combines 2D animation and live action, and no one has ever went to the trouble that they went to do it. The way they did it, because they would have animated characters carrying around real objects, and to achieve that, they use like animatronics and robot arms and like lifted stages with like tracks hidden underneath to carry plates around and stuff, and all sorts of shit on strings. There's a scene where there's like an octopus bartender, and he's like shaking multiple drinks and doing all sorts of stuff. So they have actual drinks like hung by wires being dangled up in the air and stuff. I only mentioned it because I just watched Red Letter Media do a whole thing on it, and I hadn't seen it in forever either. I might watch it.
Was it Into the Wild? Chris McCandless, the guy,
the one where the guy dies in the woods.
I made a video about that guy.
Really?
Did he
remember
eat poisoned potatoes or something?
There's a lot of theories. You're talking about why he died, right?
Yeah,
that's one of the main theories, the poisoned potatoes, where there was a kind of like beetroot in the area that he ate that there was like a specific strain of that would make you sick or whatever. I mean, really what killed him was that it got a lot colder than he was expecting. But
I thought you were going to say pride.
Yeah. I mean, in essence, it's like Chris McCandless is an interesting one. He didn't really value his life as far as like the actual living or like the longevity of it. He was very clear in his writings that he just valued the experience, like to do something others haven't.
My favorite of his writings is that sign he left by his van that says, "Please fucking help if you find this. Not a joke. God save me. Very weak. Can't hike out. Foraging for berries." It's something like that.
Bears are salivating.
Yeah, it says like, if I'm not here, I'm out foraging. Please. Yeah.
Did he?
His journal's so sad. Like the last few days of his life. Like, man.
I don't know his story very well, but I choose to believe his journal has story after story of him diddling himself in honor of Anne Frank.
I can't spare the liquid, but let's shake one out.
Load's getting smaller and smaller.
I'll forage tomorrow. It's me day.
Down to my last bottle of Lock and Load.
Yeah, that I just remember like that guy wasn't a wildlife survival expert. It would be like me going out there and starting a journal and being like, day 1, I'm avoiding the very colorful plants, but I'm starting to get hungry. It's like day 1, hour 4. Hunger's setting in.
I haven't seen a sun barbecue in
hour.
The 20-piece nugget I brought with me is running low.
What, don't you just hate it when you get a 20-piece but they only give you one dipping sauce? And who thought that warm ranch was a good dipping sauce? I wish I had service. I'd give them 1 star.
That's basically what his fucking book was. Just fail after fail. We're going to hunt for rabbits today. Those fuckers are quick. Like,
the craziest thing is while he was in, he took pictures on a handheld camera. All he had with him was a 22 rifle. While he was in Alaska, he killed a moose. And he like took pictures with it. Like how on earth was this guy like hiding in a tree? He like could drop down on it.
You'd have to shoot it in the fucking head or the heart or something.
Yeah,
but, like I don't even. I've never seen a moose in person, but I understand from the internet that they are colossal beyond.
They're like their back's like 7 feet high. Yeah,
they can fuck.
So I don't know if a 22 rifle can cut through enough thick muscle to get to the heart of a goddamn moose. So you might have to shoot it in the eye. I don't know, because if you hit its skull at the wrong angle, I think it'll literally skim off. Like it'll just ride under the skin and dink off its head. I mean, look at that. Gosh. Because parts of its skull are extra armored by the antlers and where they grow under the skin. Shooting that thing effectively and killing it with a 22 rifle, let's say we've got 5 shots, not 50. Yeah, it's not like a Ruger. If we got a Ruger 1022 with like a box magazine,
I think he had a bolt
have
action.
A bad day.
I think he had a bolt action.
Bolt action would be like in the video games when you try to do something like that, and you anger it and it kills you, or more likely it just run away and you'd never see or hear of it again.
Yeah,
it would be.
It's like a crazy accomplishment to get the job done. I mean, slowly, but
where? I would run away.
You hit it in the eye or like the side of the head.
How far would it get with a bullet through its lungs?
I think. I'm pretty sure Chris
a long way with a 22 bullet through its lung. It would run beyond it. You'd never find it. Like I've shot deer and lost them, with a bow hunting. And that was a deer. This thing will run further than a deer.
I can run upwards of 8 miles an hour. That won't keep up with a moose.
I think Chris
in the wilderness. And what if you catch it?
That's a wolf on the right. Like that.
Yeah, and those wolves are pretty big.
With a collar.
Yeah, the people keep pet wolves up there. That's a thing you can do. Chris, I'm pretty sure he killed it with a knife, if I recall correctly.
Really?
Which, good on him. Like, I'm.
You know what I have seen that's really big? Bison. I've seen those in person.
Those are huge. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen those too.
Yeah.
I think maybe in the Smoky Mountains they have like a nature reserve park thing, and they have bison there, perhaps.
Yeah.
I may have been to the same place, but I've also saw them when I did that motorcycle trip on the Tat. They're just wild. Like big free-grazing bison.
And out in Texas, I've seen a bunch of, I don't even know the names of the various, the things that aren't antelopes, but kind of are. Exactly. So according to childhood, science or science class, there's antelope and buffalo. Let's move along. there's 50 species of hooved animal in Africa, and so that dude had that's a kudu, and that's a Himalayan kudu. You see how its horns are black and spiral? It's like all these weird
fast and jumpy
or something
deer.
like that. That's what it's named. So many different kinds of weird goats and deer and stuff there that I've seen. The coolest thing was that fucking camel. I wanted that camel. It was $8,000. What are you gonna do with a camel, though?
Where'd you see a camel for sale?
$8,000, and then keeping
Texas.
it alive is $1,000 a month.
Yeah, you can. So for $8,000, you could shoot it, and that's what it's. If you wanted to, because it's on a hunting preserve. It's if you want to,
camel hunting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Are they even good to eat?
Oh, delicious! Sure. It's the most succulent meat in Arabia.
Probably, but are they good?
They say a sultan would trade 5 slaves for a camel steak. Camel's not good. It's camel. I mean,
I don't know. Horse is probably good, and it's just like a shittier horse.
Yeah, I don't know.
I still think horse would be awful. I've thought it. Yeah. I guarantee you, it's like jerky texture. It
What's
cannot
in the
be that good.
Of a camel?
Water.
Is it just fat?
It's fat.
Yeah. It's fat.
Yeah.
It's not
with
water.
a lot of.
No, I'm
There's-
sorry. I'm
Do you think
sorry,
it was
Kyle.
like a canteen?
Yeah, I thought it was like a canteen. I mean, I didn't think it was literally like you could pop the side of it with a straw.
It sounds
But
like
I
you
thought
did.
it was some sort of.
Yeah, you thought
I was like,
Kyle was so impressive
I
with the
didn't
hour
think
thing,
that it was
but he
like a
dropped the
straw.
ball with the camel.
You're having your own chickens don't fuck moment. Yeah.
That'll never happen. You still don't know where chickens come from.
I'm
Nobody
almost
does.
Vertical
positive
titties.
they come from eggs.
Zach says they're vertical titties, and I'm
No,
going with
they're
that.
not mammary. They're not mammary glands. Those
Oh,
are still
they
on
are.
their belly.
They
no,
are.
no.
They
Yeah.
are. Yes.
Don't
You're
try
out
that
in the
either,
desert.
Kyle.
Yes,
Don't
they
try
are.
that. They
Desert,
will
you
not
haven't
like
seen any
it.
for a while. Maybe.
They like it when you. So but the camel's name was Sushi, and it was like sushi, and the fucking thing would come running like a dog, and you could feed it carrots.
And you
It
wanted
was
to shoot
pretty-
it?
No, I wanted to own it. I wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
like live at my dad's farm, and like I wanted to go.
I thought you
They
said it was
probably
on a
lived to
hunting
be like
preserve.
50.
It was,
was.
but he has his pets on the reserve too. you know,
Oh,
there's
okay.
all
Well, that's a
sorts of
horrible
wildlife
idea.
there.
Why leave your pets on a hunting reserve?
Well, no,
That's-
but all right, let me just say this: if you accidentally shoot the camel, what the fuck? What the fuck, Dave? It's a cat. What were you here to shoot again, Mike? I forgot.
I thought that's what you were describing. I thought you were like,
were
it's a
here,
camel hunting trip.
deer hunting.
Mike, you're
That's
not
what
going to
says
believe
here,
it.
Mike.
I just killed the craziest boar you've ever seen.
Yeah,
I
Mike,
think Zach's
said-
right about the vertical titties thing because I bit it without foreplay and it didn't go over
Yeah.
well.
No.
Camel was
Stop
definitely
hiding.
mad. And for what I know of women, probably.
I don't know why you guys are down on horse meat. I bet horse meat tastes good. The French
Dude,
eat horses,
no,
and they're great
no.
at cooking.
Isn't the fat content?
Have
a
you,
big
for
part
one,
of
have
it,
you
the
had like
marbling?
French cuisine, like true French cuisine? That's
I've
such a,
never been
like,
to France.
I've had horse.
Yeah. It's like they're the people who thought eating live snails would be a great idea. Like,
I feel like that was just like arrogance on their part. Where they were like, "We're so good
They're
at
still
like
eating 'em.
cheeses and like desserts that we're gonna make snails good." And
Mhm.
Still
they
eating
probably are good. I'd eat snails. I'd give them a go.
no,
You
no,
wouldn't?
no, I don't. I don't think I could bring myself. I don't
Do you
think I
like
could bring myself
oysters?
to eat anything alive. I do like
Yeah,
oysters.
I love oysters.
I would eat dead snails, but like the way I hear escargot traditionally served, they're always alive.
Oh, really?
fake.
I would prefer them to be dead. I thought
Wait.
they were all dead.
Oh, no. We're gonna
I've
bake
had
that
escargot. It was definitely not alive. I'm gonna check that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you don't want
I've
that
always
alive.
heard that traditional, like French escargot in the U.S. is cooked. I'd eat cooked escargot.
I would
Yeah, you want it
wager,
cooked.
and again, I only know what the YouTube people teach me. I would wager that snails carry some sort of weird parasites, and eating them raw, you could end up with some sort of a fucking worm in your brain that tells you that you're the devil. I wish I'd paid more attention to it today, but today I watched a little documentary about these three men who wanted to go to the North Pole in a nitrogen balloon or some shit, and it was like, forgive me, I don't remember the year, but it was around the time when they thought you could go to the North Pole in a nitrogen balloon.
Did
So-
Richard Branson get involved a little bit?
Dude, this is like black and white photos times when this
Okay,
happened. So these guys get into this fucking thing and they think they can steer it using ropes they're dragging, but immediately like two of the ropes like
Hydrogen?
fall off. I don't know what the balloon was made out of. It was giant and had a net around it. This is like old timey as fuck.
Okay.
They ended up nowhere near the North Pole, but way up where it was cold. They get out on the ice because, you know, they've ran out of like, it won't float anymore. They thought it would last 900 days. That was their initial estimate for how long it would stay aloft.
Ballsy.
It stayed at like 3 weeks or something like that. They ended up like on this ice pack, and then that broke away from the mainland and started floating away.
Oh
And so
no!
And so they're hunting
Series
polar
of
bear,
L's.
and they're eating. There are very few polar bear out on the ice, but they're shooting them and eating them, and they're eating the brains and the livers and everything, and like and like sea life. Their livers are full of like vitamin A or some shit. You can't eat those. So like they're getting like vitamin A poisoning from the seals and the bears.
Taylor, you knew that already?
Yeah. I knew from a documentary they were like talking about how if
Sorry,
you eat
Kyle.
too much liver, it poisons you. Like, well, from polar bears specifically because of how much vitamin A accumulates in their liver.
And
What an
seals.
obscure piece of knowledge that both of you had. Hey, careful. Not too much polar bear liver.
Not any.
Keep it reasonable.
There's no room on my plate for a bit of polar bear liver that'll ruin my macros. But anyway, they ended up fucking dying. Like they went up there and fucking died. I really like those videos of the disasters and stuff. There's so many of these dumbasses who are like, they'll get 3/4 of the way up a mountain and then the weather will come in and they'll be like, we can do it. And it's like, dude, come back tomorrow or the next day or next week. They always die. I
want to know what the forecast they saw was. That I judge that a lot. Again with the motor stuff, but yeah, in flight sometimes we just got caught in bad weather. What can you do? You can check the forecast. I want to know what the forecast said when you made that call. Yeah, and then I'll judge you.
I mean, back then, the forecasts now aren't even that great. But back then, were they?
Well, Kyle mentioned he switched it to mountain climbing. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going back and forth between.
I was screaming about my dogs. Shut the fuck up! I
don't know. I wish that there were more shows like that because that's the shit I like. I like that life-threatening, like disaster type stuff. I like seeing how people found the will to get out of that stuff, whether they had to cut their hand off or just march through the desert way beyond what they should have been doing. And they talk about hallucinating and hearing things, and it's fucked. Like the guy who had to walk and so far he lost all of his toes. He was hallucinating that his wife's ghost was there urging him on, and he thought his wife had died. He thought that meant his wife was dead and that only the baby remained behind. And so he's like, I gotta go.
That's such a scary situation to imagine yourself in.
Yeah. And he got himself into it. Like when you watch like the first 15 minutes of every episode, you're like, well, you deserve anything you get.
Well, there's a reason that all of the episodes are like that, and it's not like on a Sunday, Bear Grylls went out for a week-long expedition. Being an expert, he packed exactly enough supplies and he left safely 7 days later after finding a safe way to survive long-term. Like, these people are guys who like probably went to a subreddit about outdoorsing, bought a bunch of expensive shit, and then took their brand new sneakers out to be the Wild Boys. Like, I would imagine. Because that's just retarded. You have to be a stone cold. Because the one where it was like they were in a blizzard and they got lost on the road, that one is way more understandable than, I decided to go on a cross ocean expedition with no experience whatsoever.
Yeah, I saw one where the guy was there. Oh, he was in some country, some third world jungle country, there to like get rid of mines. For the UN or something like that. He actually had an independent organization that demines war zones. And he's an American white guy, a British white guy in this third world fucking country. And they get kidnapped by, who was Pol Pot? Where was that at?
That was in Cambodia.
That's where he is. He's in fucking Cambodia. And like Pol Pot's like child soldiers, or not child soldiers, there are child soldiers, but his military fucking captures them. And him and his like workers, and they don't understand that he's an independent organization. He's got a translator, but everybody that he talks to is real pissed that he's there, and they're talking about torturing them to death and killing them. And like every step of the way, he's like manipulating them. He's such a smart guy. He's like, so I just thought right away, I couldn't let them treat me like I was a regular prisoner. I was a white man in this country. I was a British man, and that still meant something to these people, maybe. He's like, whether you like it or not, I used it. So when they told me to walk into the river and see if it was too deep for the truck, I refused. And I said that they should send one of his men, and they did. It's like whenever they told me I had to come with them, I said it was against the rules of my organization. And they would think about it a minute, and they'd be like, no, you have to. But they thought about it for a minute. And he was sort of getting into their head that he was to be treated as
it does seem like a reasonable rule.
And there was a part, he's like a long distance runner. That's his thing. So like there's a part where they let him go take a bath. And like, I guess they were respectful of his privacy. So they like let him go around the way and like strip down. He's like bathing himself in the river. And he's thinking like, if I run, they'll never catch me. I can run up this river. It leads all the way back to town. I run marathons. It would be nothing for me to knock out 10 or 15 miles, up this riverbank. But if I leave, they're going to kill all my little Cambodian friends. Oh. And then they interview one of his little Cambodian buddies, and he's like, John, he a brave man. He could have left. Many people would leave me. Many people I know would leave me. John would not leave me.
Sounds like a stand-up guy.
He goes, John is a brave man. And I was like, yeah, he is. And John ends up like he literally befriends the like head poobah of the death squad and like has a nice meal with him where they give him beer and like their best food, and then they like send child soldiers to escort him out of like the war zone. Like he used like
That's
his
what you
power
would do,
persuasion
Kyle.
and his.
That's how Kyle would handle it.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just what John did.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I would try to, but I don't know how that
charm
would go.
the head poobah and get it done.
Dude, I'd be like, it's a 15-mile run.
I'd have ran up that I tell you what, I'd have ran up that fucking river and left those Cambodians behind. That's what I'd have probably
We
done.
need to combine our forces. I think I would have stayed behind but lacked the charm.
Even
you would have
John,
ran but had the charm.
Even John
together
said,
we can save these people.
He was like human beings, when we get down to it, are very selfish, and I really wanted to run up that river and leave him behind. Like he was really weighing whether he should abandon these guys. That's
a really fucking brave. Valiant is a better word. That's a valiant way to behave.
He then he got blown up by a mine a couple years later in a different country. In a different country, it blew his right leg off and his right arm.
Oh, he's okay.
So he got a prosthetic leg.
Not on the Kyle spectrum.
so then he got a prosthetic. Hear me out here, because this is how hardcore he is. He got a prosthetic leg and a prosthetic hook arm, and he competed in that thing where they run 7 marathons back to back to back in the Sahara. And
yeah, but that just depends on how charged your electric wheelchair is.
No, he's running with his prosthetic leg through the Sahara Desert.
Oh, the bionic leg, you cheated.
Yeah.
Oh, it does not look a good leg. Yeah, pirates with better gear.
It wasn't a blade leg. They hadn't come out with that yet.
He's in the sand. He's just like a stump.
So it was a big inflatable tire.
No, that guy was awesome. There's a show on Netflix called Alone. It's a reality show.
Oh yeah, I've watched that.
10 different contestants, and they throw them into northern Canada to survive. And the last one to tap out and quit wins. I think it's, how much money is it? It's like 100,000, 500,000. It's a significant amount of money. And so these people are not average Joes. They are survival experts. So when they show up, they're not like, wonder what I should do. They're like, first thing I'm going to do is start setting the traps, and then I'm going to start on the log cabin. And they build cabins. They take a saw and they saw down trees that are like 3 to 6 inches in diameter, and they make cabins. They're laying them up. One lady makes a dugout. This little British lady who's like 40, 50. She's like made a dugout and then built a cabin roof over it. And she can't find any meat. So she has been living for months only on vegetables, eating berries and making like root teas. She's lost like 30 pounds. Alone. It's on Netflix.
Oh, it's like Survivor.
I did see that.
Survivor, but good.
The one guy showed up obese, like very obese. That's just fuel. He got to bring a bushel of food, so
That's
he's
smart.
down 60 fucking pounds, and he's like,
Richard Hatch style.
He's like, you think I'm ready? He's like, they have to record themselves, and he's like, today, he's filthy. By the way, he didn't wash his hands he didn't wash his face for the first 50 days, so he's recording himself, and he's like, today's the day I tap out. Nah, I'm just kidding. I got more weight to lose.
So was anybody else pissed?
Now.
Were any other contestants like this? Come on, the big fucking.
Well, they don't see each other. There's no interaction.
Yeah.
They're all in their own areas. They're all getting like harassed by grizzly bears.
Are they getting any kind of status updates?
With what?
Like, do they know maybe there's 7 competitors left?
Yeah,
No,
they get stuff like that, and they've got like an emergency thing. So like one guy.
No, they don't get told. They don't get told.
I don't know if they get told or not.
No, they don't get
what
told.
I saw was the good part was when the guy is going to tap out early, and he'd been talking a big game, and he's crying, and like this grown man is crying, and it reminded me of those guys in 60 Days In that quit in like intake.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell if he's being fake or not about if he's just bitching out or if he actually has chest pains or what his deal is. But what he did was he was so scared of bears, he spent the first 3 days building shelter and just starved himself to like low blood sugar, and then his chest started hurting and he tapped out. So they come and get you out of there.
How epic was the shelter? Was it bear proof?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He built a little cabin. They build these log cabins out there. They're pretty impressive. The one guy,
most of
the
the
one guy, like
bitch have no
shitloads
meat
of
when
wolves.
there's grizzlies all over the place.
this one guy killed a deer with a bow right away, and he smoked the deer. Taylor, he made a smoker.
That guy seems like he's well in the lead.
He smoked the deer, but he's like, that deer ain't gonna last me all winter. I gotta find something else. The other guy's finding mushrooms. He's got this big hoard of mushrooms he's picked, and he catches the squirrels getting at his mushrooms and running off with them. So what does he do? He follows the squirrels home, climbs up in their tree, and takes all of their mushrooms
and kills them. Probably
this guy's cool. Alone, I want to see this.
Yeah, it's fun.
They can take like 10 items with them, and one thing that I always like, I always look at it and I'm like, why do none of them take hunting rifles? Hey,
they probably have rules.
Is that against the? Because that's like the first thing I would take.
It's definitely against the rules.
308.
Because where they were, I know in this season, they weren't allowed to shoot, I think, the bear, and they weren't allowed to shoot something else. And it was at a certain point, they were like, all right, the season that allows you to use nets for fish is open in Canada. Now you may use your nets. And so they're using these gill nets, which are like those nets, I guess, that you either cast or like leave set up, and they're all getting tangled. And it's just like, let's check the net today. The fat guy's like, I don't even want nothing to be in the net. Today'd be a good day to burn a little fat. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I don't need no food today. I hope there ain't a fish in there. Oh God, I hope there's a fish in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
like
in the first
funny,
season. There's one dude that just eats kelp. He just fucking canes it. It's like, fuck, that would be
Are there
disgusting.
multiple seasons of Alone, or are we all talking about the same season?
Yeah. Well, I've only watched the newest season. I clicked that one because I'd never heard of the show.
I think there's like 6 seasons, something like that.
New location every time, so it's but the one I'm watching, they're in Canada. It's cold as fuck, and they're just trying to not starve to death and grind it out until they're the last one standing.
I might watch this. I've got some extra time on my hands.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about things to suggest to you to do since I've
been writing them down.
Yeah, that show's fun. I like survival shows in general, and I got to be careful though, because a little bit of me would be like, "Hey, it'd be fun to do that," and then I'm like, "You fucking dumbass! You've done that. It wasn't fun at all." Do you remember the Muffin Man?
When did you do it?
Oh my God, me and Woody have
never mind.
We've done it a couple times. One time, and I drank river water and got violently ill and had to go home. And then we did another time, and we essentially starved for a week in the woods of Georgia, sweating our balls off, and got stinky and lost a little weight. And then I couldn't find anything to kill or eat or fish up. Woody caught a crawfish and boiled it and picked at it. Two
crawfish is not much food.
King's ransom.
At a restaurant, you'd want at least a dozen and some sides, right? So like, it was
a PKA starving trip. Welcome to the PKA weight loss
people always
weekend.
say that. They're like, they're like, what would you do if the apocalypse come? And I'm just like, I just fucking kill myself, man. I don't want to fucking hang out in a world with no internet. Like, I don't give a fuck.
I'd be okay with that. Like, I wouldn't miss the
you
internet.
Go. Don't just punch out.
Fuck that. Man, I want to fucking.
I think I would go until I realized I was losing. Right? Like, oh, it's an apocalypse. Maybe I'll win. No,
it's a zero-sum game. You can't win.
Yeah, and Woody's right. You go until like it's clear that like the Negan has already been established, and then you're like, no, you know what? I don't. It's because I don't want to play. And then I could totally win, but I don't want to play Apocalypse.
I don't want to. Fuck it.
Yeah, there's nothing left for me but Negan burning my face with an iron.
As long as you don't step out of line, that won't happen.
Well,
like all his rules.
I mean, I might enjoy becoming a Negan. Like, I could start a cult and just like fuck.
Everyone thinks they're going to be Negan.
Everybody thinks they're going to be the Negan. I'm over here like, maybe I could be useful to Negan. You need to calm down with, that's a boogie mentality, right? Like, I'd be the Negan.
I'd be
I could try.
You'd be Negan's jester.
For Boogie the Apocalypse.
Make me laugh, Tubby.
He's got all those reserves of food. He'll have his dream wife, his white picket fence teeth.
Hey, Smiley, come here and make us laugh. That's what the Boogie.
What's that?
I would gladly
movie,
be.
This Is the End. Is it This is the end where he has like Channing Tatum on the chain and he's like ass fucking him.
Tatum's my bitch now.
Yeah, that'd be me, man. Yeah, that's me. I'd be Negan's bitch.
Yeah. Well, what if he was like Kyle or any of you? He wants you to be his dancing jester, which is a very high stress position because the second you're like when the show gets canceled, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, I think instead of that, you just try and flee. Try and find a weaker group of mostly women that you can domineer over.
Yeah,
right.
I think that.
But if they're a weaker group,
I would feign interest with the jester position. I'd be like, oh, me? Of course. I'm gonna need some props. I'm mostly a prop comic. I need a bike and a little food. I'm gonna head into town. I'm gonna need one of those seltzer guns. I'm gonna need a whole bunch of balloons. I'll be back tomorrow and I'm gonna blow your fucking minds.
Meanwhile, it just cuts to you.
It's the Hulk music and me like fucking going down the highway.
Telling me like juggle chainsaws or something like that, and he gives you the chainsaws. You start one up.
I'm a gun comedian.
You saw, I just watched that GIF again, or the whole video, whatever. The guy in Texas who's gets into the confrontation with the guy on his front step. He's like the stepdad, and the real dad has shown up to pick up his kid, and he was supposed to be, but they disagree on that point, the two men. And he's like, get the fuck off my porch. And the guy doesn't get off the porch. He goes in and he gets a gun. Like a cool gun. It's like a pistol caliber rifle with a suppressor on it.
Sure.
And he's like, get the fuck out of here. And the guy says, I'll take that away from you and kill you with it. You do not want to say that. That is not a threat you want to make.
That's
on
like
camera.
Probably legally what a threat is.
It's
I am
it's
going
the
to take
definition.
that from you and kill you with it.
So he says those words. And then they
can
get
you sign something to that effect? Because this is going to help me even more in court.
Then the guy gives him a warning shot, but it just goes thunk, into
an
the
old
porch.
boogie.
He gives him the old warning shot, and the guy tries to take the gun away from him. He wins the tussle for a gun and then double taps him dead right there on the front porch. And like the guy's like family is recording it, and her reaction is so weird. I don't think she knows what has just happened, even though the man's laying face down, like
the family of the man
dead.
in the house is videoing.
No, there's a person in the driveway with a camera.
Okay.
Like giving you like a front row seat to this whole thing. No charges for that guy, by the way. I loved going through the comments of that thing and them being like, I bet this guy's getting the chair, and I bet he spent good riddance to this guy, long time in prison, and then some like wonderful person just tells every one of them, nope, no charges pressed.
What retarded comment section is this on? Oh, Reddit. Yeah, that Reddit. Checks out. Yeah.
And look, I don't mean to like tell that story in a way that makes it seem like the dead man was in the wrong, because he was there to pick up his child and he had an appointment.
Jesus. So it doesn't seems like that could have been handled better.
That's where I am on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're bad at de-escalation.
Room for improvement.
Better luck next time.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when you see these shootings, it's two people who aren't good at de-escalation. Two people who never said, you know what? Like even the guy who was found, justifiable homicide, they found him completely in the right, everything's cool. I bet if he could redo it, he'd be like, this was actually not my favorite way for it to go down.
Yeah, now he's got a stepson and he smoked the kid's dad. That's going to be awkward around Christmas time.
That's a strong point. He killed that kid. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, last Sunday. Hey, we just went through Father's Day. How do you think things were rolling over at that house?
Right?
Like, what'd you get him, a gun?
Yeah.
like that's the other thing.
Oh, he's not a part. Zach says he's not part. They left the stepdad. She divorced the stepdad. So apparently killing your ex-husband makes you an ex-husband too.
Well, shit. Well, I'll say this. Do not threaten people's lives, because that's a legal thing you're doing. You're things are going to a level you're not prepared for, potentially. When you say, I'm going to kill you, don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
You should have said, don't point that gun at me. Someone could get hurt.
That'd be a good thing to say. But don't tell anybody with a gun that you'll take it from them and kill them with it, because then they are well within their rights to shoot you when you try to then take it from them. No, that one was crazy.
Do you remember that video?
Which one?
Oh, I was going to say, do you remember that video? the two big fat shirtless guys like on a gravel driveway. And it was something, I looked it up. It was something about a mattress. And this guy was either trying to like throw away a mattress or box spring on some other guy's property or disputed property. And these two guys, like the big fat guy had like a shotgun on his back and the other guy had a handgun and they kill him.
Yeah, they killed him.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out what actually happened, if those guys went to
Wasn't
prison
that in
or not.
Georgia? It was a father and son, I think. The two guys that were together, and then they were in one of those ridiculous arguments that you only see, frankly, in our country, where there's two drunk guys with their shirts off who both have guns, and they're arguing about like, you know, get the fuck out of here, I'll shoot you. No, you get the fuck out of here, or I'll shoot you. And it's like, whoa. Maybe we should both put our guns down, gentlemen. Like maybe that's step one. So could we fight about this, please? like I don't know why they both have fucking guns and are like talking shit back and forth. And they basically talk shit until one of them pulls the trigger and kills the other one.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're talking.
Yeah, this one was definitely not at all justifiable. This one, it's just an argument where two people have guns and one guy doesn't, and you know it's not worth killing someone over a fucking mattress.
One guy just said, "Do it, pussy," too many times for his own good. Is what happened. I don't know why you're talking shit to a guy holding a shotgun. I would be so fucking terrified if somebody had a shotgun pointed at me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just watched that video again. Jesus Christ. It's so wild how fragile we are. Like we can be like so robust in some ways with repairing ourselves, and then in other ways it's like, oh, that guy was just like walking around like that. He probably had like a dinner plan or something he wanted, and then he got into a fight stupidly with these two maniacs with guns, and then he's just, it's over.
Oh,
just punch
I got
out.
a better one than that. I saw two guys pass each other on a sidewalk, right? And they bump shoulders. They turn around and one of them wants to talk shit. He goes to talk shit and make a thing of it, and the other one punches him. He falls over into the path of a bus and is immediately decapitated. Like, all he had to do was be like, we're good.
Excuse me.
He turned around and wanted to make a thing of it, and the other guy shoves him or punches him, I don't remember which, and his head exploded under the tires of like a bus or some shit. It all happened so quick.
It's a quick death.
That fragility is crazy. Like and my head's on paramotor accidents. I have seen guys like fail to launch on a picture of paramotor with wheels on it, and they're trying to take off, and the thing just tumbles and yard sails with pieces of prop and netting and cage and who knows what, just flying everywhere with scattered debris behind him. And the pilot gets up and he's 100% fine. I have seen other guys take a hard landing and their butt just kind of scooch hits it. And now they're fighting to walk again. And it like didn't even look that bad. I know a guy on a motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Someone made a left-hand turn in front of him, and he went like over the car. So imagine him going over the hood kind of feet first somehow. I don't know. And he landed on his butt. And that guy's mostly paralyzed from the waist down too.
Have you seen the guy? He's parachuting. He's landing. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he's landing in a parachute. I don't know what happened before then. But he's sort of like pulling down the toggles and like scooting his butt up to sort of like get his legs kind of straight out to like sort of slide in.
Sure.
And there's like these little man-made ponds almost that seem like they'd be good to skid into, but he skids right at the end of one where there's like an embankment, and you can see from his GoPro his legs compound fracture as they hit it. Ugh. And it's one of those things. Like when I'm on Reddit, I'm just like watching GIFs. Like it could be anything from like a mom making pie for her kids to what I just described. So I'm usually real quick to like, nope, I don't want to see anyone get burned alive and like fix that. But like I didn't know what was going to happen. It was like, oh, I bet he's going to do that like skid across the water thing. Right.
You see people who do it really well.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking blew both of his legs up. They like like you saw like red meat and bone just bow out of both of them. And I was just like, no.
Paramotor pilots do that too. So that the speed of a canopy like that, whether it be a paraglider or a parachute, is fixed. They always go the same speed, pretty much. But if you go down, you can temporarily increase your speed. So they kind of dive at the ground, level out, and then they can go extra far with that extra speed that they call energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing chicken with the ground, hoping to turn it just the right time. A lot of my friends are really good at it. I'm not. It's not a skill I've ever worked on. This is my safety like philosophy. I do boring launches, boring landings, exciting flights.
Very smart.
That's my thing. But the launch and landing, it should be very boring and just like I meant it to be. But swoop landings look fun.
It looks
it
looks horrific.
Have you ever heard of Bebo Russell?
No idea.
No.
Is that a fictitious person?
They call him the Sky Thief. So Bebo worked baggage handling at an airport.
Oh, I remember this guy, the Sky King.
He played some video game simulators with planes, and occasionally he'd ask pilots, "What's that switch do?" or "What's this switch do?" One time they even caught him in the cockpit toggling around with the switches that he hadn't been told about before, and they reprimanded him. Well, turned out that Bebo was depressed, suicidal, like really kind of done with life. And so he stole a large passenger plane, took it out, and as they're like, "Hey, you do not have clearance to move on the runway," or the blah, he just ignores them, takes it off perfectly, and then starts doing tricks in it that most experts say are beyond them and they would never attempt, especially not at those altitudes. This man has like a medium-sized passenger plane doing barrel rolls and loop-de-loops. There is a loop that he does where I'm gonna guess it looks like he's gonna crash. I'm like, oh, this is him dying, because he's like coming out of the loop and like he's losing so much altitude. He's right above the ground in this big plane, and he recovers it and takes it back up, and he's talking to them as like more calmly than I am right now. He's like, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do a barrel roll, and if I make it through that, I think I'm just gonna put her down in that island over there. I really didn't think I'd make it this far, frankly." And he just sort of like gives his suicide letter right there. Yeah. He's like, "There's going to be a lot of family and friends that are going to be disappointed in me. I'm real sorry, but I guess I'm just a guy with a few screws loose, and I'm just done."
Yeah. Here's apparently some quotes, like some conversations between them.
They have the audio. Yeah, I've heard it.
"Just flying around the plane. You seem comfortable with that?" is the operator. "Oh, hell yeah. It's a blast. I've played video games before, so, I know what I'm doing a little bit." "Okay. And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?" "Nah, everything's peachy clean. Just did a little circuit around Rainier. It's beautiful. I think I've got some gas to go check out the Olympics." "Damn it, Andrew. People's lives are at stake here." "Ah, Rich, don't say stuff like that." And that was another guy there talking on the same thing. "I don't want to hurt no one. I just want you to whisper sweet nothings in my ear." They asked him, "Well, Rich, I already talked to him. Just like me, what we want to see is you not get hurt or get anyone else hurt. So if you want to try and land, that's the way to go." "Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy."
What the fuck?
"Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. Sorry about that. I hope it doesn't ruin your day." "Hey, do you think if I land this successfully, Alaska will give me a job as a pilot?" "I think they would give you a job doing anything if you could pull this off." "Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy."
Oh, that's gold.
The middle one of "Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. I'm sorry about this. I hope it doesn't ruin your day." It's so funny. He just, from his quotes, he seemed like a guy that just was having a blast flying around, wanting to have.
No, you don't get it. He doesn't have any future. Like that's his.
No, I know.
But he's having some fun there.
He's having some fun on his way out. Is what he was trying to do.
I wish we could show like the footage of him flying the plane, because it legitimately doesn't look real. Like what he's doing in that plane. He's doing like stunts in a passenger plane for the fun of it. And he's I had seen like this old footage of, I don't know, one of the big Boeing planes doing those maneuvers in Nevada, like when they were proving them. And it was a test pilot with a parachute, and he was at like high altitude doing these maneuvers. This kid has never been in a plane before, and he's doing them over a lake. Like the public is out watching. It's absurd. He's so
apparently he said he wanted to do it over the lake so that if he fucked up, no one would get hurt other than him.
Eventually he put it down on a little when I say put it down, he fucking crashed it nose first as fast as he could into the ground in an unpopulated area.
If he would have landed it successfully, like I feel like by this point, that was a few years ago now, like he would have been like doing Kimmel or something. Like sure, stealing a plane. Actually, no, he'd be in fucking Guantanamo probably. He'd either be doing Kimmel if people thought it was funny and it was like a popular thing to meme on it, or if it was like, this guy's a domestic terrorist, then he'd be in.
If he got to be on TV in court, if they had like his court thing on TV, he would win over like everybody based on his personality there, right? Because he's very endearing.
He seems funny. He's all those nah shucks, you know, sweet nothings, that kind of language.
I heard his voice. He's so chill. It's
I feel for him. Like he's clearly in pain. He committed suicide. He didn't want to hurt anyone else. He did steal some pretty expensive equipment, but
good for him.
But yeah, I don't know.
American on the way out.
Yeah, I don't really like the airlines myself.
Yeah,
Delta's the best. I don't care what anybody says. Like
Delta.
I think
I
I'm
thought
biased.
you'd say Virgin. I thought you were.
You're a Georgia guy, so of
I've
course
only been
Delta's
able
for
to
you.
fly.
Right.
So Virgin doesn't fly flights out of Atlanta, seemingly. I don't know. They've rarely been an option in the past. I've only had one Virgin flight. That was really chill. Now that I think about it, that they had this like purplish, pink lighting in first class, and it was a nighttime flight from like Seattle down to LA or something. Like it's only like a 2.5 hour flight, but it was super chill. And I just remember Kitty and I are up in first class, and I'm in the window, and their first class is pretty nice. The seats recline, and then you still have like it's like you're in a recliner, and then you could get out of the recliner and stand and look back at the leg thing kicked up. There's still enough room to stand there. And this little Asian lady snuck up out of coach and like walks into that space. Like she's between us and the people in front of us. Like we're reclined. We're like curled up in blankets, like in our first class seats. It's nighttime. And she's like poking Kitty, hey, like waking her up and asking her how much the tickets up here cost.
How much your tickets cost? Like,
I refuse to help. I refuse to help or translate because Kitty wakes up and she's like, well, what's it all about? Oh, what is it want? Oh.
What does it want?
My precious.
Finally, the flight attendant showed up and shooed that little lady back to where she belonged in the back.
Yeah.
I like it when the flight attendants do that because it makes me feel special. I think this is Freudenberg. Like when you take pleasure from other people's pain. I may have that word messed up, but again, paramotors. I talked about it much tonight. There have been days where I launch and it's cloudy and it's yucky out, and the whole area, everyone in North Carolina is stuck in this shitty gray day. But there's a few holes in the clouds, and I go through those, and now I am in the sun. All you fucknards are having a shitty cloudy day, but I am up here above the clouds in the sun, and that somehow makes it nicer than if we were all in the sun.
I just imagine you like getting just low enough so that you can skip along the tops of the clouds, and like you're playing like I'm walking on sunshine.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Yeah, you can hang out way above the clouds and get a better view of them. You can just drag your feet in it. Clouds smell a certain way.
Let me ask you this. Maybe this is a stupid question. Is there ever any like instance where you would be worried about like getting sucked up in some sort of updraft and taken to like scary high altitudes?
Yes, but these are not those kind of clouds. Yeah, these are.
Have you ever been like adjacent to those kinds of clouds where it's like, oh, we better not go over there, or we could possibly get sucked up and like pass out from no oxygen?
People do. I haven't. Like when they warned us
nightmare.
and taught us about cloud suck. It was like quicksand as a child. Like, careful of cloud suck. Careful, cloud suck is going to be a major problem in your free flying career. This is what cloud suck could look like. And there's these people at 32,000 feet freezing to death.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And meanwhile, when I actually free fly, like without a motor, I'm doing everything I can to scratch and just stay in the air. It's very hard to fly for more than an hour or so. And they act like I won't be able to get down. That's never happened.
Like that to me is very similar to being sucked out to sea, by the current, and like taken out to that nothingness where like, I don't know, you just can't really do anything. When they get sucked up to those high altitudes, they lose consciousness because it's so cold, and then they'll drop down enough so they wake up again and they're all icy and they're like, fuck, we got to fix this problem. But then they start going back up again and they pass out, and like, who knows how long that could happen for?
I've seen
die or fix the problem.
People usually you carry it's what is a fucking cutting knife called? The hook knife I'm looking for. So that they carry a hook knife, they destroy their wing, they cut the lines, they throw their reserve parachute, but even it descends too quick or not quickly enough. So they get sucked up and now they're under parachute and they can't steer or do anything about it.
Oh my god!
I haven't seen it. I've seen it on YouTube.
Yeah.
How high can you go up in the paramotor or with any kind of parachute, I guess, before the air gets too thin and it just it doesn't hold you up anymore?
It's the time you're up there as well.
So
I wanted to know how close to space you could float to. Like
I would say it caps out around 30,000 feet is as high as people have gone. 32,000 feet, 37,000.
Where is space? What was the line there?
50,
like
right?
50?
Or no, it's like kilometers, right? But Kyle probably knows this.
50,000 feet.
I remember that there's a lot of back and forth about where space actually is, but then I watched.
God, NASA pick a line.
They have picked a line. I don't know where it is. It might be 50 kilometers. I don't know.
Yeah, it's where it
62 miles.
It's where it turns black
miles.
Way
instead
off
of
then.
blue.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're so off.
Yes,
62 miles.
Yeah, so and 50,000 feet would be a little
320,000 feet or something.
Wait. 62 miles is over 300,000 feet.
Yeah. So
that's dumb. I refuse to use that number.
Okay.
Why?
I just googled.
That's absurd.
What did that guy from?
Because
what did
he
that guy
float
from Red
away.
Bull, what did the Red Bull guy jump from? Because that was fucking space.
The Red Bull guy had to be like 60,000 feet. He wasn't 300,000 is so fucking high.
Okay, Felix took off from 128,000 feet, so 24.5 miles.
Yeah.
So and that guy's in space. You can see the curvature of the Earth and
it's black above him.
It's black above him. That's the line.
Here's what I say: it's space when the fucking sky turns black above you. Okay?
Obviously, blue is sky.
Wait, that's just
black is
nighttime.
space. Well,
when it's daytime and the sky, and yet the sky turns black above you, you're right on the edge of space. At 300 miles,
it's always daytime somewhere.
Away. You're orbiting at 300 miles. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but Jesus Christ, that seems real high. It doesn't fucking matter. All I know is that, like, you know, if you're up at 15 or 20,000 feet for extended amounts of time, you're going to have headaches and all sort of diminished capacity. Mm-hmm. I don't know where you just pass out and how long you have to be exposed to that, but I would imagine 30,000 feet. You know, obviously they're pressurizing aircraft already, so
30,000 feet, it's quick. I know it below 10 grand. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
Yeah.
Like there's no that. Above 10 grand, I want to say at 10 grand you get an hour or something like that. I forget. There's a guideline for it.
It took this guy 90 minutes to fall. To reach target altitude and then pull. He fell for an hour and a half. He probably had a fucking Pixar movie and like a little screen, so he wouldn't get bored. This guy
at 26,000 feet roughly, it took him 90 minutes to pull his chute.
No, the Red Bull guy, the 128,000 feet guy.
That includes the ascent, though, right?
It took Baumgartner about 90 minutes to reach. Oh yeah, fuck. Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, you can't fall.
I was imagining him like crossing an immense amount of distance over time. Like, wow, we're going.
He's just skimming. He's like skipping across the atmosphere.
Wingsuit, just basically going for like a transatlantic parachute.
I wish.
Thing